This is the house in Haapsalu, Estonia, where Hedvig Büll was born. She belonged to a German-speaking family, and her father, Theodor, was an important businessman. One day a piece of news broke in the college that an important preacher from Frankfurt had arrived. The preacher was telling about the Mount Ararat that Noah rested upon. The preacher had eyewitnessed the Christians being martyred. Sisters and brothers, let us seek for the grace of our Lord, but let us not be satisfied with only that. Our association organizes fundraising for the Armenian orphans, establishes orphanages, schools, and it is now in a dire need for female teachers. Teachers who could partially replace their own victimized mothers. Hedvig Büll traveled to distant Silesia to work as a teacher in the German orphanage in Marаше. There were thousands of orphans and widowed women in German and American orphanages after the massacres of Adana. Marаше was called the orphan town. The young, light-hearted Estonian woman must have been confused and full of contradictory feelings when she entered the doors of the Patel orphanage. And she had barely gotten used to the new situation when genocide reached Marаше.
Women, men, old people, disabled, blind, sick, walked on rocky pathways for days under the scorching sun. They walked in silence. They no longer had even tears. Who will count the bodies of the dead which lay alongside the road of death? Abducted or lost children who are calling their mothers in tears.
In 1918, the order came from Constantinople for all orphans to be exiled. Older boys with their hands tied on their back. How did young teacher Hedvig Büll manage to dissuade the Turks and save those children? It's difficult to imagine, but the fact is that the order was not carried out. In 1922, Anna Hedvig Büll also follows Armenian migrants to Aleppo. This is the town of Anjar in the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon. It was founded by Armenian refugees from Cilicia. Hedvig Büll came also here to help these refugees. From Aleppo to Beirut, from Beirut to Aleppo, from one refugee camp to the other, from one country to the other. She was always there, standing with suffering Armenians. Anna Hedvig puts to use all of her diplomatic ties and abilities. With the resources of the organization Christian Mission Toward the East, one of the hills of Aleppo is granted to Armenians with the right of private property, and an Armenian district is built there. The residential building by the name Sarepta is constructed. Armenian women had a place to live. Hedvig Büll doesn't manage even to enter Soviet Armenia. During the repatriation of the 1940s, Mother Büll also requests to leave for Armenia from Aleppo, together with her Armenian children. She knew it would be very hard for her to live in a godless country, but she couldn't let go of her sons. Büll is not declined. She is even offered to get on board the second ship in more convenient conditions. She bids farewell to everyone who leaves with the first ship and waits for her turn. Soon it becomes clear there is no second ship leaving for Armenia. That time, the Bolshevik regime had been instituted in her birthplace, Estonia, as well. Her Estonian passport was no longer valid. Büll gathers her belongings, a little suitcase, and leaves for Germany in silence. She was already 64 years old. As the witnesses tell, in the 1970s here at Heidelberg station, twice a week you could see an old missionary woman in her 90s. Her bags filled with holy scriptures, the old woman was walking to the station, waited for the train to Ankara, which stopped for only 5 minutes. She would enter the train cabins and very quickly hand out the holy scriptures to the Turkish migrant workers, hoping the message would reach their hearts. That woman was missionary Hedvig Büll. Hedvig Büll spent her last years in this home for retired missionaries in Waldwimmersbach near Heidelberg. The staff here knew the residents very well, but they were so surprised when on her deathbed, Hedvig started to speak a language they couldn't recognize. It was Armenian, a language she had learned while working among Armenians. When Hedvig Büll passed away, a notebook was discovered on her table, in which there were addresses from beginning to end. Through those addresses, it was necessary to inform Armenian deportees living in 44 different countries about the death of Mother Büll. That was her final wish.